ladies and gentlemen. I'm excited to say I have probably the most interesting thing that I've found on this trip right here. This guy. This is Bromelia Pinguin. I believe they're related to pineapples. Doesn't look like too much just like on its own, but this is actually just a piece of the fruit. The fruit itself is like this gigantic ball of like these little fruits stuck in it. They're covered with like spiny little hairs, like very thin hairs that are, they're kind of like those little hairs that come on like a cactus, and they can get in your skin and then make you like itch. So it's got those little guys, so you have to like remove those little hairs, which thankfully I think the vendor did that for me already. And then you peel it like a banana. I don't think it's super easy to do just on its own. I guess I could. It helps to have a knife. Yeah, I think I'm gonna aid the process a little bit with a knife. So you just kind of like peel it like that. These look a lot like the ginger fruit. They are, much more fat looking, but they do have a resemblance. So there you go. Isn't that pretty? It does like look a little bit like a banana. And I think that these can still, even with the hairs removed and peeled and everything, they can still cause like itchiness. And I heard that if you are sensitive to these, or if you eat like way too many of these, they can give you blisters like on your tongue and in your mouth, which is not fun. So I'm probably not going to eat too many of these, but I don't have any allergies whatsoever, so I should be okay. It kind of tingles the tip of your tongue. A little bit like how Monstera deliciosa can do that. Not that much, but there's a little bit there that is like a little disconcerting. So, yeah, probably better that I don't eat too many of these. And it's kind of stringy in there. Like, so like the pulp that I'm getting at, it's kind of like almost like a, I don't know. It's very like juicy in there and kind of crisp. But it's also got these like little strings in there. I think you can probably see those little strings in there. The seeds, you can see they're relatively small. They're kind of like an apple seed, I guess. Maybe a little smaller than an apple seed even. Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. Breaking down the flavor is, that's difficult because this is kind of like a weird taste to me. It tastes refreshing and light and a little tart. The tartness that you would get maybe from like a Granny Smith apple. It maybe has a little bit of like that kind of flavor as well. It is sweet, probably the sweetness of an apple, but does not have an apple taste to it. It's maybe a little bit like pineapple, which would make sense because I believe these are related to pineapple. But not exactly what you would think. I don't know if I feel like I've had a lot of things that taste similar to this, but nothing quite exactly like it. I'm getting kind of like Granny Smith apple, kind of like pineapple, maybe a little bit like rose apple in a way, like a little floral, a little bit like kiwi, maybe. There's a lot going on in there. And like the aftertaste after you've eaten this is a little bit like nutty. Like a little like a chestnut kind of flavor. Aftertaste though. Yeah, so I think that's probably the best I can do. I can't exactly get my finger on like what this tastes like, but it has elements of all those things, but it is kind of its own animal. No fruit is exactly the same as another fruit. They can have certain elements that cross over, but even with like as many fruits as I've had, you still come across flavors that you just can't put your finger on. So I would say like do try this if you come across it, but use a little bit of caution. Like if you will have an allergy to pineapples, you do not want to go near this, because I think whatever that thing is in pineapples that makes people like break out and have blisters and stuff. There's more of it in this thing. But otherwise, guys, I think that's it. I'm fascinated about this, though. I'm really happy that I found this. This is probably the most interesting surprise that I've come across on my trip so far. My whole thing about coming to a new place is I wanted to find something brand new, something that was, unexpected. I've been coming across a lot of things that were like kind of interesting, but not anything like super crazy. This thing is in the market of super crazy. This is what I was waiting for, something super exciting like this. So I'm really happy that I found this, and I hope that you've all enjoyed watching me eat this thing as much as I've enjoyed eating it myself. Okay guys, till next time, bye. Hey, so at the end of this video, there's going to be a preview of next week's fruit, so stay tuned for that. But first, business! I want to give a shout out to all of my Patreon supporters. Patreon is how this channel happens. So if you want to help me out by giving completely voluntary contribution to my channel, check out the link that's around me right now or in the description below. Big shout out to the channel Smarter Every Day. They help me out a lot on Patreon, so if you haven't heard of them, check them out. I also have t-shirts for sale. These are available on my website, which are also in the link below. If you don't want to give me money, subscribe, click the bell, like, comment, any of that stuff. Alright, thanks so much guys. Bye.